Welcome back to Whispers After Midnight, the place where the internet's darkest stories come to life. Tonight's video features a collection of creepy Reddit stories, subscriber submissions, chilling folklore, and classic creepypasta. The kinds of stories best listened to with the lights low and the doors locked. Quick disclaimer: these stories come from online sources and submissions. There's no proof they're real, but that doesn't make them any less disturbing. Before we begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy scary stories like these. It really helps the channel grow. And if you have a creepy experience or story idea, leave it in the comments. Your story might appear in a future episode. Now, turn the lights down, grab a snack, get comfortable, and let the whispers begin. I was hired to drive for the dark web. Part 1. I didn't go looking for the dark web. It found me. Back in 2018, I was 32 years old, recently divorced, and driving for every gig app you can imagine. Food delivery during the day, rideshare at night, anything that kept the rent paid on my tiny apartment and gas in my dented Honda Accord. It was the kind of life where every notification meant money. And that's exactly why I didn't question the email. It arrived at 2:14 a.m. Subject line: private driver position, high pay. At first I thought it was spam, but when I opened it, the message was surprisingly simple. We are looking for reliable drivers. No questions asked. Cash payment. Night work only. You will receive delivery coordinates and pickup instructions. If interested, download the attached browser and follow instructions. Normally, I would have ignored something like that. But the next line got my attention. First delivery payment, $1,500 for one delivery. I made maybe $120 on a good night driving rideshare. So yeah, I clicked it. The attachment installed a browser I'd never seen before. No logo. Just a black screen with a simple login page. After installing it, the email refreshed and gave me a password. When I logged in, I realized something immediately. This wasn't normal internet. No Google, no ads, no menus. Just a single message. Available jobs. Driver access. Below it were listings that looked like delivery orders. Coordinates, times, payouts. The lowest one paid $800. The highest paid $6,000. All cash. That's when I realized something else. Every pickup time was between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. And every job had the same rule. Do not open package. Do not ask questions. Deliver exactly as instructed. I sat there staring at the screen for a long time. Then I thought about my bank account. $173, rent due in 5 days, so I accepted the smallest job. $1,500, pickup location, an industrial park outside the city. Time, 1:40 a.m. Delivery location, coordinates only, no address. The warehouse was abandoned. At least it looked that way. Half the windows were boarded up and the parking lot lights flickered like something out of a horror movie. I almost turned around. But then my phone buzzed. A message appeared in the browser app. Driver 27. Enter through side door. They already knew I was there. That should have been my first warning. Inside, the warehouse was empty except for a single metal table in the center of the room. And on that table sat a small black duffel bag. No people. No cameras that I could see. Just the bag. My phone buzzed again. Confirm pickup. I walked over slowly. The bag was heavier than it looked. Inside, I could hear something shifting around, like loose metal pieces. I zipped it shut and typed, confirmed. Another message popped up instantly. Delivery location sent. My GPS opened automatically. The coordinates pointed to a quiet neighborhood about 40 minutes away. Simple enough. I drove. The whole time I kept wondering what was inside the bag. Guns, drugs, money. But I didn't open it. $1,500 was enough motivation not to. The house was dark when I arrived. No lights, no cars. But sitting on the front porch was a plastic storage bin. Exactly like the instructions said. I placed the duffel bag inside, closed the lid. Then my phone buzzed again. Delivery complete. Payment ready. As I walked back to my car, I noticed something. The door of the house had opened slightly, just enough for someone to watch me. I didn't see their face, only a pair of eyes in the darkness, watching. The moment I got into my car, the door shut. When I got home, there was an envelope taped to my apartment door. Inside was exactly $1,500 in cash. No note, no message, just money. And that's when I made the mistake that pulled me deeper into everything. I logged back into the browser. Over the next 3 weeks, I became driver 27. Every job was the same. Late night pickups, no people. Packages left on tables, benches, storage lockers. Then deliveries to strange locations, mailboxes, dumpsters, back doors, parking garages, always cash waiting afterward. Sometimes taped under my car, once hidden inside a newspaper box. I made $18,000 in less than a month. But the job slowly started getting stranger. One night I picked up a cooler. It had air holes drilled in the top. Something inside it moved. Another time I delivered 3 phones that were already powered on. Each screen displayed a timer counting down. But the job that changed everything happened on delivery number 19. The payout was $4,000. Pickup. An underground parking garage. When I arrived, there was a large wooden crate waiting next to a pillar. This one was heavy, like really heavy. I could barely lift it into my trunk. And as I drove, I noticed something strange. The crate had small metal vents on the side, like the kind used for ventilation. Halfway through the drive, I heard a noise, a thump, then another. From the trunk, I pulled over immediately. My heart was racing. The instructions were clear. Do not open the package. But the sound came again. This time it was unmistakable. A voice, a muffled voice. Someone inside the crate whispered, "Help!" I froze. My brain was screaming that something was very, very wrong. Then my phone buzzed. A new message appeared. Driver 27. Continue delivery. They knew exactly what was happening in my trunk. I stared at the crate through the rearview mirror. Another thump, then the voice again. "Please." My hands were shaking. If I finished the delivery, I knew exactly what I was delivering. And whoever was inside that crate wasn't supposed to survive wherever they were going. My phone buzzed again. This time the message was different. Deviation detected. I looked around the empty road. No cars, no people. But suddenly I had the terrifying feeling that I was being watched. Another message appeaed. Complete delivery. Then one more. Or you will become the next package. And that's when I realized something that made my blood run cold. The coordinates for the delivery were only 10 minutes away. And whatever organization I was working for already knew exactly where I was. The message stayed on my screen, or you will become the next package. For a long time, I just sat there on the side of the road, engine idling, staring at the glow of my phone. In the trunk behind me, the crate moved again. A weak thud. Then the voice. Please, don't take me there. The words were barely audible through the wood, but I heard them clearly enough. My heart started racing. Up until that moment, every job had been easy to ignore. Bags, coolers, phones, boxes. But now, there was no pretending. There was a human being in my trunk, and whoever hired me knew exactly where I was. I slowly looked around the empty street. Streetlights buzzed overhead. The road was completely deserted, but that didn't mean I was alone, because they'd already proven one thing. They could see me. My phone buzzed again. Driver 27, you are behind schedule. Then another message. Continue to delivery location. I wiped sweat off my hands and gripped the steering wheel. If I ignored them, what would happen? Were they bluffing? Or were there people nearby watching my every move? The crate thumped again. Then the voice whispered, "They're going to kill me." That was enough. I slammed the car into drive and pulled back onto the road. But not toward the delivery point, toward the highway. If I could get somewhere crowded, somewhere with people, maybe I could figure out what to do next. The moment I passed the next intersection, my phone buzzed violently. 3 messages in a row. Route deviation detected, return to delivery path. Then the last one, final warning, driver 27. I ignored it. My chest felt tight as I merged onto the highway. Cars finally surrounded me again. Normal life. Normal drivers heading home or starting early shifts. For the first time since this started, I felt slightly safer. Then my phone rang. Not a message. A call. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. The voice on the other end was calm, almost bored. Driver 27. My stomach dropped. It was a man. Low voice, slight accent I couldn't place. You've done excellent work for us, he continued. Why are you making this difficult? I didn't respond. I didn't know what to say. The man sighed. You accepted the terms when you took the job. There's someone in my trunk, I said. Yes. You're going to kill them. There was a pause. Then the man said something that chilled me. No. Someone else is. The line went quiet again. You are only the driver. I gripped the wheel tighter. I'm not doing it. Another sigh. You misunderstand your situation. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. We know where you live, Daniel. I nearly swerved into another car. I'd never told them my name, never used it. On the site, I was only driver 27. The man continued calmly. Apartment 3B, corner unit. Blue Honda Accord, registered in your name. My mouth went dry. You see, he said, you are already part of this. The phone line crackled slightly. If you fail to complete this delivery, we will simply replace you. Replace me? I whispered. With another package. The call ended. I sat there shaking. Behind me, the crate shifted again. The voice inside sounded weaker now. Please, don't stop. I had no idea what to do. If I freed them, these people might come after me. If I delivered them, I'd be responsible for whatever happened next. The highway stretched ahead of me, endless lanes disappearing into the dark. Then I remembered something. Every delivery so far had been silent. No people, no witnesses. What if I changed that? I took the next exit. The sign ahead read, Police Station, 1 mile. My plan was simple. Pull into the station, explain everything, open the crate, end it. The moment I turned toward the station road, my phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't a message. It was a photo. My apartment building, taken from across the street. Another message appeared. Your home is not empty. My chest tightened. I stared at the picture. The lights in my apartment were on, but I had left them off. Another message appeared. Complete the delivery. Then one more. Or someone else will pay for your choice. My hands started shaking so badly, I had to pull the car over again. These people were everywhere, watching everything. The crate thumped again, then the voice whispered something different. Please, if you're going to stop, just open it. I stared at the trunk release button. My brain screamed not to. The instructions had been clear since day one. Do not open package. But I couldn't keep driving like this. So I pulled into an empty gas station, closed for the night. No cameras that I could see, no cars. My legs felt like jelly as I walked to the back of the car. The trunk creaked open. The wooden crate sat there, bolted shut. Small metal vents lined the sides. And from inside, I heard breathing. I grabbed the tire iron from under the trunk lining. Hold on, I said. I smashed the first bolt loose, then another. The lid popped open slightly, and a hand shot out immediately, grabbing my arm. I nearly fell backward. Inside the crate was a man tied up with duct tape around his wrists and ankles. His eyes were wide with panic. He looked maybe 25. College kid, maybe. Not a criminal. Not someone who belonged in a crate. I helped him out quickly. Can you walk? I asked. He nodded weakly. What's your name? Eric, he said. What happened to you? His face went pale. They kidnapped me. My stomach dropped. Who? I don't know, he said. They just kept asking for passwords, crypto wallets, accounts. My phone buzzed again. I looked down. Package opened. Then another message appeared. Driver 27, contract terminated. Eric saw the screen. What does that mean? Before I could answer, headlights appeared at the end of the gas station lot. One car, then another. Black SUVs. My heart stopped. They found us, I said. The SUVs rolled in slowly, blocking both exits. 4 doors opened. Men stepped out, all wearing dark jackets. No logos, no badges, just quiet professional movements. Eric whispered, "What do we do?" I looked around desperately. There was nowhere to run. The men started walking toward us, not rushing, not yelling, just approaching calmly, like they already knew how this would end. Then one of them spoke. Step away from the package. His voice was cold. I raised my hands slowly. Eric looked terrified. I'm not a package, he said weakly. The man didn't respond. Instead, he looked at me. Driver 27, he said. You were warned. My mind raced. Then I did the only thing I could think of. I grabbed Eric's arm. Run. We sprinted across the lot. The men shouted behind us. Footsteps followed. I heard a car door slam, then tires screeching. We ran through a field behind the station, stumbling through tall grass and mud. My lungs burned. Eric nearly collapsed twice. But we kept running. Eventually, the headlights disappeared behind the hill. We hid in a drainage ditch for nearly an hour before either of us spoke again. Eric finally looked at me. Why did you help me? I stared at the dark sky above us. I don't know, I said honestly. Because the truth was, I might have just ruined my life. It's been 2 years since that night. Eric disappeared after we reached a hospital. Witness protection, I think, or maybe something else. As for me, I moved 3 states away. New name, new job, new car. I never logged into that browser again, but sometimes, late at night, my phone still buzzes. Unknown number. No message. Just a notification. And once, about 3 months ago, I got a single text, only 2 words. Driver 27, and underneath it, a new set of coordinates. I deleted the message, but I still remember them, because they were only 10 minutes away from my house. And sometimes, when I'm driving late at night, I swear I see the same black SUV in my rearview mirror, just far enough back that I can't see who's driving, waiting for their next delivery or their next package. (2006). Back then, nobody around me even knew what the dark web was. I definitely didn't. I was 27 years old, living in Des Moines, Iowa, working nights as a delivery driver for a small medical supply company. My job was simple. Pick up sealed containers from clinics and hospitals and drive them to labs across the state. Most nights I drove alone for hours through empty highways and quiet towns. It was boring work. But boring meant predictable. Predictable meant safe. At least that's what I thought. Everything changed when the company shut down. One afternoon, the owner gathered all of us drivers inside the warehouse. There were maybe 15 of us standing around the loading dock when he cleared his throat and told us the company had gone bankrupt. Just like that. No warning, no backup plan. You'll get 2 weeks severance, he said. That's the best we can do. Within a month, my savings were gone. I started picking up odd jobs on Craigslist. Moving furniture, hauling scrap metal, delivering things for people who didn't want to leave their houses. Most of those gigs paid maybe $50. Then one night, I saw the listing. It was buried near the bottom of the job page. The title read, Private Courier, Night Driver. No company name, no logo, just a short description. Must have reliable vehicle, comfortable driving, late hours, no questions asked, excellent pay. At the bottom was an email address. I almost ignored it. But then I saw the pay listed at the bottom, $900 per delivery. My old job paid maybe $120 a night. So I emailed them. An hour later, I got a reply. No greeting, no name, just instructions. Download the Tor browser, visit the link below, Use the login credentials provided. I had never heard of Tor before. It took me almost half an hour to figure out how to install it. When I finally opened the browser and typed in the strange address they gave me, a simple page loaded. Black background, white text, no logos, no images, just a single message. Courier Access Portal. Underneath it were 3 options: jobs, messages, payments. I clicked jobs. A list appeared instantly. Each entry looked like a delivery order: pickup location, drop-off coordinates, time window, payment amount. The lowest paying job was $700. The highest was $3,500. Every listing had the exact same instructions written underneath. Do not open packages. Do not ask questions. Complete delivery exactly. That was it. No contracts, no paperwork, just deliveries. I stared at the screen for a long time before finally accepting the smallest job. Pickup time, 1:10 a.m. Pickup location, a storage unit facility outside the city. Delivery coordinates, 42 minutes away. When I arrived at the storage facility that night, it looked completely deserted. Rows of metal storage doors stretched into the darkness. The only light came from a flickering security lamp near the entrance. My phone buzzed. A message appeared on the site. Courier 14, Unit 63. They already knew I was there. That should have made me leave. Instead, I drove deeper into the lot. Unit 63 was near the back row. The metal door was halfway open. Inside was a single cardboard box sitting on the concrete floor. No people, no cameras, nothing else. I stepped inside cautiously. The box was sealed with heavy tape and labeled with a printed code instead of a name. My phone buzzed again. Confirm pickup. I picked up the box. It was heavier than it looked. Something shifted inside when I lifted it. Metal, maybe. Or tools. I typed, confirmed. Immediately another message appeared. Delivery coordinates sent. My GPS opened automatically. The location was a quiet neighborhood about 40 minutes away. The drive felt strangely normal. Too normal. The whole time I kept glancing at the box sitting in my passenger seat. Curiosity kept creeping into my head. What was inside? Drugs? Weapons? Money? At one point, I almost pulled over to open it, but I didn't. The rules were clear. Do not open packages. So I kept driving. When I reached the destination, it was a small suburban house with no lights on. The instructions were simple. Leave package in blue trash bin beside garage. Sure enough, there was a blue plastic bin next to the garage door. I placed the box inside, closed the lid, walked back to my car. Before I even started the engine, my phone buzzed. Delivery confirmed. Then another message appeared. Payment location sent. The payment location was a gas station about 5 minutes away. When I arrived there, the instructions said, check vending machine 3. I walked inside the empty station and looked at the snack machines. The third one had a small envelope sitting in the drop slot. Inside it was $900 in cash. No note, no explanation, just money. That was the moment I made the decision that pulled me deeper into everything. I logged back in and accepted another job. Over the next 2 weeks, I became Courier 14. The deliveries followed the same pattern every time. Late night pickups, strange drop locations, abandoned parking lots, storage lockers, underpasses. Sometimes the packages were small boxes. Other times they were large duffel bags. Once I delivered a locked suitcase that weighed at least 50 pounds. Another job involved a cooler filled with dry ice. I never opened anything, and the money kept coming. $900, $1,200, $1,800. In less than a month, I made more money than my old job paid in half a year. But something about the work started to feel wrong. The drop-off locations were getting stranger. One night I had to leave a bag inside a cemetery mausoleum. Another time I was instructed to place a crate underneath a bridge outside the city. The weirdest part was how the system always knew when I arrived. The moment I pulled into any pickup or drop-off location, my phone buzzed. Every time. Like someone was watching the entire job unfold. Then one night I accepted the highest paying job yet. $3,200. Pickup location, an abandoned factory building. Delivery coordinates, 2 hours away. When I arrived at the factory, the front door was already open. Inside the building was completely empty, except for one thing. A large wooden shipping crate sitting in the center of the floor. It was much bigger than anything I had delivered before, and along the sides were small ventilation holes. My stomach dropped. Why would a crate need air holes? My phone buzzed. Courier 14, load package. The crate was incredibly heavy. It took nearly 10 minutes to drag it across the floor and lift it into the back of my SUV. As soon as I slammed the trunk closed, I heard something move inside. I froze. Then came a sound that made my heart stop. A faint thud, then another, and then a weak voice. Hello? My hand started shaking. Inside the crate, someone knocked again. Is someone out there? I stepped away from the car slowly. The voice sounded desperate. Please, let me out. My phone buzzed again. Delivery timer started. Then another message appeared. Failure to deliver will result in penalty. I stared at the crate through the back window. Inside, the person knocked again. And that's when the realization hit me. Whoever hired me wasn't just shipping packages. They were shipping people, and I had just become part of it. I stood there in the empty factory parking lot, staring at the back of my SUV. Inside the trunk, the crate moved again. Another weak thud echoed through the wood. Then the voice came back. Hello? Please, someone help me. My stomach twisted. Until that moment, I had been able to pretend the job was just weird deliveries. Boxes, bags, suitcases. But now, there was no pretending. There was a human being in that crate. My phone buzzed. A new message appeared on the courier site. Courier 14, delivery timer active. Then another line appeared beneath it. Failure to complete delivery will result in penalty. I looked around the empty factory lot. The place was silent except for the buzzing streetlights and the faint knocking coming from my trunk. Hey, the voice shouted weakly. Is someone there? I walked toward the back of the SUV slowly. Every instinct told me not to open it. The rules had been clear since the beginning. Do not open packages. But whoever was inside sounded terrified. Please, the voice said again. They locked me in here. My hands started shaking. I glanced down at my phone. Another message appeared. Courier 14, begin route. The GPS coordinates flashed on the screen. The delivery location was nearly 2 hours away. I imagined what would happen if I finished the job. Whoever was inside that crate would disappear somewhere I would never see. And I would get paid, just like every other delivery. Another knock echoed from the trunk. Louder this time. Please. I clenched my fists. Then I got back into the car. For a moment, I just sat there breathing hard. Finally, I started the engine and pulled out of the parking lot. But the entire drive, my eyes kept drifting to the rearview mirror. Every bump in the road made the crate shift slightly. Every movement reminded me someone was trapped back there. After about 20 minutes, the voice called out again. Are you driving? I hesitated. Then I answered. Yeah. There was a long pause. Then the person inside said quietly, Don't take me there. My grip tightened on the wheel. Where? I don't know, the voice said. But they said I wouldn't survive it. My chest felt tight. Who took you? I asked. I don't know, the voice replied. 2 men, masks. They kept asking for passwords and accounts. Crypto accounts. The realization hit me slowly. This wasn't random. Whoever was behind this courier service was kidnapping people and moving them around like cargo. My phone buzzed again. Route deviation detected. I hadn't even realized I slowed down. Then another message appeared. Maintain speed. That was when the fear really set in. Someone was monitoring my drive, watching everything. Listen, the voice in the crate said, weaker now. If you're going to help me, you have to open this. My mind raced. If I opened the crate, whoever ran this operation might come after me. But if I delivered it, I'd be responsible for whatever happened next. Up ahead, a highway exit sign appeared, and an idea formed in my head. I took the exit. Immediately, my phone buzzed again. Route deviation detected. Then another message. Return to delivery path. I ignored it. Instead, I turned toward a brightly lit area filled with restaurants and late-night traffic. If I stopped somewhere public, maybe I could open the crate and get the person out safely. The phone buzzed again. Final warning, Courier 14. Then the screen went black for a moment. When it came back on, a single photo appeared. My apartment building, taken from across the street. My stomach dropped. Another message appeared beneath it. We know where you live. My hands started shaking so badly I nearly swerved off the road. They were watching everything. The voice inside the crate spoke again. What's happening? I swallowed hard. Nothing, I lied. But my brain was spinning. If I helped this person escape, whoever ran this operation might come after me. Not just me. Anyone connected to me. My phone buzzed again. Deliver package. Another message followed. Or you will replace it. I stared at the words for a long time. Then I made a decision. I pulled into a nearly empty grocery store parking lot. The store itself was closed, but the lot was lit with bright floodlights. I parked near the back. My heart pounded in my ears as I stepped out of the car. The crate sat in the trunk exactly where I left it. The person inside knocked weakly again. Please. I grabbed the tire iron from under the spare tire. Then I pried at the bolts, holding the crate shut. The first bolt snapped loose. Then another. The lid cracked open slightly. A hand immediately pushed through the gap. I jumped back in shock. Easy, I said quickly. I'm opening it. After removing the final bolt, I lifted the lid completely. Inside the crate was a young man, maybe early 20s. His wrists and ankles were bound with tape. His face looked pale and exhausted. He blinked against the bright parking lot lights. "You actually opened it," he said weakly. I helped him climb out. "What's your name?" I asked. "Ryan." "What happened to you?" "They kidnapped me 2 days ago," he said. "They kept asking for my crypto wallets." That confirmed it. Whoever ran the courier network was kidnapping people connected to money online and moving them around through drivers like me. My phone buzzed again. Package opened, then another message appeared. "Contract terminated." Ryan saw the screen. "What does that mean?" he asked. Before I could answer, headlights appeared at the entrance of the parking lot. 2 black SUVs rolled slowly toward us. My stomach dropped. The vehicles stopped about 50 feet away. 4 men stepped out. Dark clothing. No logos. No hesitation. They began walking toward us. Ryan whispered, "Are those the guys?" "I think so." One of the men called out calmly, "Step away from the package." Ryan looked at me. "What do we do?" I looked around the empty lot. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. Then the man spoke again. "You were given simple instructions, Courier 14. My chest tightened. He knew exactly who I was. "You failed to complete your delivery." Ryan whispered, "They're going to kill us." The men kept walking closer, slow, confident, like they knew the outcome already. Then instinct took over. "Run," I said. Ryan and I sprinted across the parking lot toward the road. Behind us, I heard shouting, car doors slamming, engines starting. We ran through an alley between 2 buildings and kept going. Neither of us stopped running for nearly 15 minutes. Eventually, we reached a crowded late-night diner. Inside were dozens of people. Lights, cameras, witnesses. For the first time that night, I felt safe. Ryan called the police. By the time officers arrived, the SUVs were gone. No trace of them anywhere. Ryan was taken away by investigators shortly after. I never saw him again. As for me, I deleted the Tor browser that night. I moved to a different city within a month. New apartment, new job, new car. I tried to put the whole thing behind me. But about 6 months later, I received a letter in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a single piece of paper. Printed on it were 3 words, Courier 14 active. And beneath that, a new set of delivery coordinates. I never went there. But sometimes late at night, when I'm driving home, I notice the same black SUV a few cars behind me. Not too close, not too far. Just close enough to remind me. Some deliveries never really end. I was 24 years old and living in Boise, Idaho. At the time, I worked the night shift driving a tow truck. Most nights were quiet. The city got cold and empty after midnight, and I'd spend hours just cruising the roads waiting for dispatch to call. Flat tire on the highway, dead battery in a parking lot, occasionally a wreck, but mostly nothing. Which meant most nights I sat alone in the truck, scrolling through forums or watching random videos on my phone. That's where I first heard about Tor. A thread on an old tech forum mentioned it. Some anonymous browser that let you see parts of the internet most people never touched. Back then, it sounded more mysterious than dangerous. Curiosity got the better of me. So one night around 2 a.m., while parked behind a closed gas station waiting for a call, I downloaded it. At first, the websites were mostly weird marketplaces and strange forums. Nothing too shocking. Then, I stumbled onto something different. A page that looked almost like a job board. Black background, white text, no logos, no branding, just a simple title. Private transport services. Underneath were listings. Driver needed. Night work only. High pay. The payouts caught my attention immediately. $1,200, $1,800, $2,500. Each listing had the same strange rule written underneath. Do not open container. Do not ask questions. Deliver exactly. At first, I assumed it was illegal deliveries. Drugs, maybe. Weapons. But the money was ridiculous. My tow job barely paid enough to cover rent, so I sent a message. 5 minutes later, a reply appeared. No greeting, just instructions. You are now driver 42. Then a pickup location appeared. Time, 3:10 a.m. Location, Industrial Rail Yard, outside Boise. Payment, $1,500. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I thought about my bank account. $82. So I accepted the job. The rail yard sat on the edge of the city where the streetlights faded into darkness. Freight trains sat silent on the tracks, like giant sleeping animals. My tow truck headlights cut through the fog as I pulled into the empty lot. My phone buzzed. A message appeared on the site. Driver 42. Shipping container 7. I drove slowly past rows of rusted cargo containers until I found the one marked with a large white 7. Its door was slightly open. The inside was completely dark. I stepped out of the truck and approached cautiously. The cold air smelled like metal and oil. Inside the container sat a black plastic storage case about the size of a suitcase. No people, no cameras, nothing else. My phone buzzed again. Confirm pickup. I lifted the case. It was heavier than it looked. Something inside shifted slightly when I tilted it. But there were no sounds. I typed, confirmed. Immediately, a new message appeared. Delivery location sent. The coordinates were about an hour away in the mountains. The drive up there was eerie. The road twisted through dark forests and empty hills. No houses, no lights. Just the sound of tires on asphalt. Halfway there, something strange happened. I heard a faint clicking noise. I looked over at the case sitting on the passenger seat. The noise came again. Click, click, like something tapping from inside. I told myself it was just something loose shifting around. But the sound kept happening every few minutes. Click, click. My hands tightened on the wheel. Finally, I reached the delivery location. It wasn't a house. It wasn't even a building. Just a small clearing in the woods. The instructions appeared on my phone. Place container in wooden box. Sure enough, there was a large wooden chest sitting beside the dirt road. I opened it. The inside was empty. I placed the case inside and closed the lid. As I turned to leave, I heard the clicking again, only now it was louder, coming from inside the wooden box. Then, my phone buzzed. Delivery complete. A moment later, headlights appeared behind me. A black SUV rolled slowly into the clearing. The windows were completely tinted. 2 men stepped out. Neither of them spoke. One of them opened the wooden chest, chest and removed the case. The other handed me a thick envelope. Inside was $1,500 in cash. Then they got back in the SUV and drove away without another word. That should have been the end of it. But the money was real. And the next night, another job appeared on the site. Over the next 3 weeks, I became driver 42. Every delivery happened late at night. Every pickup location was strange. Abandoned barns, construction sites, empty warehouses. The containers were always different. Metal boxes, plastic crates, heavy duffel bags. Sometimes they made strange noises. Clicking, scratching. Once I even heard what sounded like breathing. But I never opened anything. Because the pay kept increasing. $1,500, $2,000, $3,400. Then one night a job appeared that paid $5,000. The pickup location was an old hospital that had been abandoned for years. I knew the place. Everyone in Boise did. The building had been shut down after some kind of structural collapse. Most people avoided it completely, which made the job even stranger. But $5,000 was more money than I had ever made in a single night. So I accepted. The hospital sat alone at the end of a cracked road surrounded by overgrown weeds. Its windows were shattered. The front doors hung open. My phone buzzed as soon as I arrived. Driver 42, basement level. The inside of the hospital smelled like mold and dust. My flashlight beam bounced across peeling walls and broken equipment as I walked deeper into the building. Eventually, I found the stairwell leading down. The basement was colder, much darker. At the end of a long hallway, I saw it. A large medical transport container sitting on a gurney. This one looked different from the others. It had multiple locks, and along the sides, ventilation holes. My stomach tightened. Why would a container need air holes? My phone buzzed. Load container. I pushed the gurney toward the exit. The wheels squeaked loudly in the silent hallway. As I lifted the container into my truck bed, I heard something inside move. Then came a sound that froze my blood. A whisper. So faint, I almost thought I imagined it. "Help me." I stepped back from the truck. The whisper came again. "Please." My hands started shaking. There was someone inside the container. My phone buzzed again. A new message appeared. Delivery timer started, then another line appeared underneath it. Do not open container. I stared at the metal box in my truck bed. Inside, someone knocked weakly and whispered again. "Don't take me there." That's when I realized something terrifying. All those strange noises from the previous deliveries, all those containers, the clicking, the scratching, the breathing. I hadn't been delivering objects. I had been delivering people. And this time, the person inside knew exactly what was waiting at the other end. The whisper from inside the container made my blood run cold. "Please, don't take me there." I stood beside my truck in the empty hospital parking lot, staring at the metal transport box. Up until that moment, I had always been able to ignore the weird noises in the containers. Clicking, scratching, breathing. But this time there was no denying it. There was a person inside. My phone buzzed. A new message appeared. Driver 42, delivery timer active. Another message appeared right after. Do not open container. I stared at the metal locks, holding the lid shut. The voice inside spoke again, weaker this time. They're going to kill me. My chest tightened. Who are you? I asked quietly. For a moment there was silence. Then the person inside answered. My name's Tyler. His voice sounded hoarse. How long have you been in there? I asked. I don't know. Maybe 2 days. 2 days. Locked inside that metal box. My phone buzzed again. Begin delivery. The GPS coordinates flashed on the screen. The destination was almost 3 hours away, deep in the mountains north of the city. No towns nearby, no houses, just wilderness. My stomach twisted. Whatever waited out there wasn't good. Inside the container, Tyler knocked weakly. Are you still there? Yeah, I said. Please don't deliver me, he whispered. I looked down at my phone again. Another message appeared. Deviation will result in penalty. For the first time since I started the job, I felt afraid. Whoever ran this courier network clearly had ways of watching drivers. They always knew only when I arrived. They always knew when I completed deliveries, which meant they probably knew exactly where I was right now. The wind whistled through the broken hospital windows behind me. Tyler spoke again. They're taking people, he said quietly. What do you mean? I heard them talking before they put me in here, he said. There were others. Other containers. My stomach dropped. How many? I heard at least 4. 4. My mind flashed back to all the deliveries I'd already done. All the strange containers. All the weird sounds. A horrible realization slowly formed in my head. I hadn't just delivered one person. I might have delivered dozens. My phone buzzed again. Driver 42, begin route now. Then another message appeared beneath it. Final warning. I stared at the screen. Then I climbed into the truck and started the engine. For a moment, I just sat there, gripping the wheel. Tyler knocked again from inside the container. Are you driving? Yeah. Where? I hesitated. Not where they told me to go. I pulled out of the hospital parking lot and headed back toward the city instead of the mountains. Immediately, my phone buzzed. Route deviation detected. Another message appeared seconds later. Return to delivery path. My heart started pounding. Someone was definitely tracking the route. Tyler's voice came from the back again. Are we getting out of here? I'm trying, I said. The phone buzzed again. This time, the message was different. Driver 42. Then a photo appeared. It was my tow truck, taken from behind. The picture looked like it had been taken only minutes earlier. My chest tightened. Another message appeared. You are being monitored. I glanced into the rearview mirror. At first, I didn't see anything unusual. Then headlights appeared behind me. A black SUV. Far enough back that I hadn't noticed it before. But it stayed the same distance behind my truck, no matter how fast I drove. Tyler spoke again. What's happening? I swallowed. I think they're following us. The SUV's headlights stayed locked on my truck. Another message appeared on my phone. Complete the delivery, then another. Or you will be replaced. My hands tightened around the steering wheel. Replaced. I knew exactly what that meant. Another container, another delivery. Except next time, I'd be inside the box. Tyler knocked again. Listen, he said urgently. If you're going to help me, you have to open this thing. I glanced at the container in the rearview mirror. It was secured with thick metal locks. Opening it would take tools and time, neither of which I had. The SUV behind me suddenly accelerated, closing the distance. My heart started racing. "We don't have time," I said. Up ahead, I saw a highway exit leading toward downtown Boise. Bright lights, traffic, people. If I could reach a crowded area, whoever was following me might back off. I slammed the accelerator. The truck roared forward. The SUV followed. Tyler's voice sounded panicked now. "They're getting closer." "I know." I took the exit ramp at full speed. The truck bounced violently as I turned into the city streets. Cars filled the road ahead. Red lights, gas stations, restaurants, civilization. I glanced in the mirror. The SUV slowed slightly, but it didn't stop. It kept following. I had pulled into the parking lot of a crowded 24-hour grocery store and slammed the truck into park. People were everywhere. Families loading groceries, employees pushing carts, security cameras on every corner of the building. The SUV rolled slowly past the entrance of the lot, then stopped at the street, waiting, watching. My hands shook as I jumped out of the truck. I grabbed a wrench from the toolbox in the back and started smashing the locks on the container. The first one snapped, then the second. Inside the metal box, Tyler started shouting, "Hurry!" The final lock broke free. I lifted the lid. Inside was a young guy, maybe 20 years old. His wrists were bound with zip ties. His face was pale and sweaty. He blinked against the parking lot lights. "You actually opened it," he said weakly. I helped him climb out of the container. "Can you walk?" I asked. "Yeah, I think so." Tyler looked around the busy parking lot in disbelief. "You saved my life?" But before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. A new message appeared. "Contract terminated." Then another message appeared underneath it. "Driver 42, marked." My stomach dropped. Tyler saw the screen. "What does that mean?" Before I could answer, the black SUV drove slowly past the parking lot entrance again. This time, the driver's window rolled down. A man inside looked directly at me. Our eyes locked for a split second. Then the SUV drove away. Tyler and I reported everything to the police that night. They searched the abandoned hospital. They checked the rail yard. They even tracked the tour website. But nothing was ever found. No containers, no job board, no records. The entire courier network vanished overnight, like it had never existed. That was 10 years ago. I quit driving shortly after that, sold the truck, moved to another state, tried to forget the whole thing. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm driving home on empty roads, I notice a pair of headlights behind me. A black SUV. Always the same distance away. Never passing. Never falling behind. Just following, waiting. Like they're still looking for driver 42. And that's where tonight's story ends. I hope you enjoyed the video and the story we shared tonight on Whispers After Midnight. Just remember, the internet has a lot of dark corners. And the dark web is one place you definitely shouldn't mess around with, unless you're ready to find things you can't unsee. If you liked this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if there's a specific type of story you want to hear, dark web encounters, creepy jobs, strange neighbors, haunted places, leave a comment below. Your idea might become the next story featured on the channel. Thanks for listening. And until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, the best stories are always told after midnight.